Hi folks, welcome to another Chief Steamer 155 video. In this video, we want to talk about the machine's electric requirement because again, 240 voltage only. This machine is available in 240 voltage only. We don't want you to be scared of 240 volt. More and more people are actually requesting 240 voltage, and that's why we work so hard in bringing this machine out. But obviously 240 volt is going to be different than 120 volt. We don't want you to be scared of it. We know that a lot of you guys are mobile, a lot of you guys are using generators. You're going to need a bigger generator. You can't use a little tiny inverter to run a 240 volt machine. You got to run a bigger generator. Now, if you're running a bigger generator, you're going to have a 240 volt outlet on your generator, which we'll talk about in a minute. If you're going to hardwire it into your shop, you can just run a box to your shop wall, hardwire it into your wall, and the machine's always ready to go. You can use a plug, you can use an outlet. So the way we're equipping this machine with just a bare power cord. No plug, because there's so many different plugs out there, there's no reason to put a plug on it. So you're just gonna have 3 wires. This is the way the Europeans wire their machines. You notice it's a little different than if you've ever seen a power cord on a conventional 120 volt machine. On 120 volts, we have green, which is ground. We have a white and a black. The white is neutral, the black is hot. And you would wire it white to white, black to black, green to green, and you'd be good to go. Now, on a European system, it's going to be the same thing. This is called 240 volt single phase. So 240 volt single phase, instead of using a neutral, we're just using 2 hot leads. There's always going to be a ground, and there's going to be 2 hot leads. So your ground in a European system is the yellow with the green stripe. Anything green always means ground. So this wire has a green stripe, that's going to be your ground. Here we have a brown and we have a blue, which is pretty standard for European wiring. Hot, hot, each at 120 volts. That's going to give you 240. So it's really, really easy to wire. It's a single phase system, and there's 2 hot leads and a ground. That's all we need to know. Now, you might be confused as to what plug and what outlet to choose. You can choose whatever you want if you're starting from scratch. You can buy outlets and plugs at Home Depot and Lowe's, and buy the female, which is your outlet, buy your male, which is your plug. You only need a 3-prong plug if you're starting from scratch and you're plugging this into your shop. So, common 3-prong plug would be something like this. You're going to have a ground, and then you're going to have 2 hot leads. And when you pull this apart, you would see the green screw to hook up this wire would be green. As long as you get the ground correct, there's not a lot of mistakes you can make because the other 2 are going to be hot leads. As long as your green is connected to ground, then you're good. If you connect your ground to a hot lead, you're going to have a dead short, you're going to blow your breaker. You're not going to blow the machine up, you're just going to have a dead short. That means you did it wrong. So 3-prong is easy because we have 3 wires. Now, what happens when you go to a generator? Your generators are going to be a little bit of a problem and a source of more confusion because most generators, any generator that I've ever seen, has a 4-prong system. So now, okay, we have 3 wires and 4 prongs. Why is that? We're gonna put this in the video so you see this a little bit better. But here's a common 4-prong outlet. Now, in the video, the reason why there's 4 prongs is for 240 volt appliances that have any kind of digital display. If you have a digital display such as a light up board or in ovens or air conditioners that read out a clock or read out temperature and timers, that's always going to be run on 120 volts. So you need an extra wire to run your 120 volt for your display, and in your power leads would be for your heater in your ovens and of course your ground. So this is the reason for 4 prongs or 4 outlet or 4 tabs here. You're just not going to use one of them. So if we look at this, opposite sides of this, and this is the common one you're going to see on a generator. So this is the most common outlet that you're going to see on a generator. Your 2 120s are opposite each other, which gives you your 240. So that would be your brown and your blue. Then your ground is by itself, which would be your yellow with your green stripe, and inside your plug would have your green screw. So green is always ground. Just remember, green is always ground. This one, you just leave empty. So this one would be to run a display board on an oven or an air conditioner or any other appliance that's at 240 volt. It's using one wire in 120 volt. Here we don't need it because the machine doesn't need it. That's why there's only 3 wires. So this one you would leave blank. You just wouldn't use it. So here is the equivalent of that in a plug. Your ground, your 2 hot leads, and one of these you would just leave empty. Now, most of the time, your 2 hot leads are going to be opposite each other. And then your 120 that you're not going to use is going to be by itself, and your ground is going to have an extra little right angle to it, which when you pull this apart, you would see that in the screw. So again, here's our power cord, and our power cord only has the 3 wires. So this is a 120 leg, that's a 120 leg, that's your ground. Now what if you did it wrong? What if you hooked up your ground correctly, but you have one of your hot leads here and then one of your hot leads there? You turn the machine on. Well, it's just not going to work. You didn't blow the machine up. You didn't break the machine. It's just not going to work. So if your pump doesn't come on or your alarm doesn't come on when you turn the machine on, you didn't break anything. You just did it wrong. Do it again. Just make sure that you find out when you buy this plug or your outlet that which one is the 120 one. You're going to have 2 hot leads for your 240 to make your 240, 120 plus 120, and your ground. The key is getting your ground right. If you hook up your ground to hot, you're going to have a dead short, you're going to blow your breaker. You're not going to blow the machine up. So there's nothing to break. So don't be afraid of it. So that's why it's a little bit more confusing than 120 volt, where we're just plugging it in somewhere. We're plugging it into your generator, you're plugging it into an outlet. Yeah, that's simple. But here we're working with more power, and we have to be a little bit more aware of the way things are wired. So it's going to be a little bit different, but don't be scared of it. So if your generator has a 240 outlet with at least 20 amps and can produce at least 4,000 running watts, then you have a generator that can power the 155 machine. If you only have an inverter or a generator without a 240 volt outlet, then you have to upgrade your generator. Now the downside to 240 is you're just not going to be able to plug this into somebody's house. So you're not going to go into somebody's garage and say, well, where's your 240 volt outlet, and expecting even if one was there to match. It's probably not going to happen. So that's the downside of having a 240 volt machine, is you're not really going to be able to take it to a customer's house and plug it in anywhere. You're not going to be able to use their electric. But if you have your own generator and you've looked at this diagram and figured out what outlet is on your generator, you can buy the corresponding male plug to plug into your generator, and hopefully with this video, it helps you wire it a little bit better if you're not using a professional electrician. Professional electrician will be able to do this in 5 minutes and get the machine up and running in that amount of time. So it's actually very easy, but don't be scared of 240. That's just what I'm trying to say. So wiring it up is not that big of a deal.